Network tools covers both physical tools to set up our network as well as other tools that will help us troubleshoot our network. We're going to cover cable crimpers and strippers, protocol analyzers, data capture and analysis, as well as packet sniffers and port scanners. We'll also get into multimeters. Those can be very useful, and tone generators. And then we'll finish it up with cable testers. Let's take a look at cable crimpers and strippers. We'll start out with the crimping tool. A crimping tool is a device used to join two pieces of wire, deforming one or both of them in a way, and it's going to cause them to connect to each other. The result of the tool is called a crimp, and a good example of crimping is when you affix a connector at the end of a cable, and then we add an RJ45 connector to each end of our Ethernet cable. The crimper off to the right does both RJ45 for networking as well as RJ11 for phones. A wire stripper is basically just a small handheld device used to strip insulation from electrical wires. And many tools are combinations of crimpers as well as strippers. Protocol analyzers are also called network analyzers, and they will help analyze our network for any issues. A network analyzer, or protocol analyzer if you like, is a combination of hardware and programming. In some cases, it's just a standalone hardware device, and it can be installed in a computer or network to enhance protection against malicious activity. Network analyzers can supplement firewalls. They can also supplement antivirus programs as well as spyware detection programs. And they give us statistics to tell us about both current and recent activity on our network. They also show vulnerabilities, and they detect unusual traffic. So if it sees any type of traffic that's not normal for our network, and it's going to alert us in many different ways. It can send us an email, it can pop up with an alert, or send a text. It just depends on the type of program. Once it alerts you to the issues, you can then take action, such as blocking specific network traffic or making firewall rule changes. Packet sniffers can be used by both hackers as well as network administrators. A sniffer is a tool that intercepts data flowing in and out of our network. When we used to use hubs a long time ago, then we were able to monitor all the traffic that goes in and out, such as broadcast traffic. However, nowadays, switches block a lot of that types of traffic, so we have to use what's called promiscuous mode, where we put our switch into this mode that allows us to hear and see everything. Once in promiscuous mode, we can see all the traffic, both hardware or software, wired or wireless. This allows the sniffer to seize everything that's flowing in or out of the network, and that can lead to the unauthorized access of sensitive data. A packet sniffer can take the form of either hardware or a software solution. We are seeing here a wireless sniffer. That's sniffing out packets that are flying through the air where we can possibly deduce some data that's coming off of them. We can also figure out which keys the person is using on the access point, so we can try to hack that as well. Port scanners are a very useful tool on our network. It tells us what ports are open and which ones are closed. A port scanning tool displays the ports on our network that are open for communication. Whether or not a port is open can help with setting up IP security. It can also determine if a network is secure, as well as other network-related operations. There's over 130,000 TCP and UDP ports that can be open on a network, and port scanners help you determine if you're vulnerable. A great example of a port scanner would be Nmap. And basically all it does is it scans a computer or a network and all the devices in the network to see if they have any TCP or UDP ports open. Let's take a look at a demonstration of a port scanner. This is a program called Nmap, which is just a graphical user interface on top of the Nmap program. And Nmap just stands for Network Mapper. Let's type in the target of our entire internal network. We'll put in 1 through 254. And we can change the scan type from intense to ping to quick scan. Let's just do a quick scan and click scan. And it's going to go through and see if there's any open ports on any of our devices. Now that can include servers, workstations, firewalls, routers, switches. And take a look, there's a lot of open ports here. It gives us what the internal IP address is as well as the port that's open. And if it's going to be green, it means it's open. If it's red, it means it's closed. Now we can not only scan internal addresses, but we can also scan external addresses. However, if the addresses are not ours, then there could be some legal issues for scanning external addresses looking for vulnerabilities. Once we find the open ports, such as on this particular server, we can see the various different TCP ports that are open. And if we want, we can go further by checking out some of these different ports to see which ones may be a security risk. For instance, for file sharing, port 445 is perfect because it sends an encrypted stream. But ports 135 through 139 can also do file sharing. We don't really need those because they send the stream unencrypted. So we may want to lock those down. You can then go into the firewall and block those ports on the receiving computer, in this case 21.47. Run the scan again and make sure that those ports are closed. Multimeters are physical devices that have a wide range of uses and can help us troubleshoot our network. A multimeter is a handheld tester used to measure electrical voltage. It can also measure current, known as amperage, resistance, and other values. Multimeters come in analog as well as digital versions. The one on the right you see here is a representation of a digital version. And very useful for everything from simple tests like just checking to make sure you've got enough battery voltage to detecting faults and complex diagnostics. They are a preferred tool by electricians for troubleshooting electrical problems on various different devices, but the network administrator can also use them on motherboards as well as batteries and other devices for which they can test. Here's a representation of both an analog and a digital multimeter. We can see that an analog uses a needle and it's less expensive. It also typically does not need a battery. Digital, however, uses LCD numbers, and there is a minimal increase in cost, but you do also need to make sure that your battery is kept up to date. Personally, I like the digital one better because it's a little bit more precise. However, if I'm going to keep a device in a drawer for a long time, it's much smarter to have one that doesn't require a battery. Tone generators were typically used by telecommunications experts, but now they can also be used by network experts as well. A tone generator, also called a signal generator, is an electronic device, and it artificially creates sound frequencies by electrical means. The device creates the signal and it converts it into sounds. The sounds it creates can vary depending on the need for the application. We use a tone generator to apply a signal to a wire pair or single conductor and trace it with an amplifier probe. So it's really two different devices. One device is going to be on the wire and the other is going to be on the patch panel. When used with the amplifier probe, the tone generator allows us to identify a wire within a large bundle. It can be used on twisted pair, coax, AC wiring, and others. Cable testers are very useful. They let us know whether or not a cable is good and whether their termination is working properly. Cable testers tests connectivity. And there's many different types of cable testers out there. It just depends on the type of cable that you'd like to test. A great way to use cable testers is to find broken connections. If a cable tests out good, but we're still having connective issues, then we know that the problem is not with the cable itself. There's Cat 5 and Cat 6 testers, so make sure you get the right one. If you're going to use Cat 6 in your network, make sure that you don't get a Cat 5 only cable tester. Otherwise, you're going to get errors when you try to run tests on your cables. In summary, we took a look at cable crimpers and strippers, looked at protocol analyzers, data capture and analysis, and looked at sniffers and scanners to try to find vulnerabilities in our network. We also took a look at a demonstration of ZenMap, which is a graphical interface on top of the Nmap program. Multimeters lets us know if we have any problems with our hardware, and tone generators help us to find cable pairs, and cable testers help us to test cables to see whether or not there's a break. All of these different ways to check out our network, both physically and logically, can help you pass your Network Plus certification test.